Good morning, everybody. My name is Deborah Byrne from Deborah Byrne Psychology Services, known across social media as Psychology. This morning, I'm going to talk about this week's blog, which is all about premarital counselling. Now, we talk about premarital counselling. You don't necessarily need to be getting married, but if you're entering into a more serious relationship, if you decided that this person's for you and it's a committed relationship and you are going to spend the rest of your life with them, then it might be also a good idea to have what was traditionally known as premarital counselling. In saying that, please look for a qualified counsellor. Not everybody, a qualified therapist, not everybody will do this type of work. You're looking for somebody who does relationship counselling, a psychologist who will do relationship counselling. So, be careful who you pick and make sure they are very, very qualified to do this. The other thing I would say to you is, don't do it too close to the wedding if you're getting married. Try at least to do it a year beforehand, before the wedding date, 18 months maybe before the wedding, because you're both going to be very stressed. And I don't care who's organising the wedding and who's the more involved in organising and planning the wedding. The other party is going to be, it's going to be stressful as well. So, time constraints, the cost of the wedding, things like that, all those factors are going to feed in. And, you may not be able to have the time to spend to explore the topic. You need time to explore the topics and to do it in a less pressurized environment. Now, in saying that, it's never too late either to talk about different topics. If you're a second time around person, maybe this would be something that you would, you'll only get married again if the person is willing to go into counselling beforehand. Perhaps even if they're just a committed relationship, second time around again. It's never too late to discuss these things and to take time out to talk through the various topics. I have some of them listed in the blog this week, and they're only the start of the topics. They're only, and I list out a lot of questions there, but it's only the tip of the iceberg, I feel, that I've put into the blog. Now, the idea behind it is to use the questions and to use the topics to get to know one another better. A lot of times when we're dating, we don't really get to know that person that well and that in depth. So perhaps that is something else you can think about if you read through the questions. Maybe there are questions, you've been dating somebody for a while, and maybe it is something you could talk about in a one-to-one situation with your new girlfriend or new boyfriend, or new partner. Something you haven't talked about before. Maybe you can use the questions in that way. But as I said, if it's more serious and you're contemplating a long-term relationship, a long-term partnership, a marriage, then I would advise getting some premarital counselling. Remember, it's not supposed to, if you are doing that a getting to know you better, you've been going out with them for a while and you do decide to, talk to them about different topics, religion and children and, sex and all the other finances and all the other topics that I bring up there. Don't do it in an interrogation. Don't use it as an interrogation tactic. Let the conversation flow naturally, and don't decide to do it in a case of, start at one topic and go all the way through and in one night. That's not the way to do it. Pick one question and explore it. And then let it go, and then pick a different topic and a different question another night or another week or next month or something, and explore it that way. So there's a couple of ways, you could use them. Now, the difference between, and I have to stress this, the difference between premarital counselling and pastoral counselling. Pastoral counselling tends to only relate to religious and your spiritual beliefs and that end of marriage. or that end of your partnership, it tends to only do that unless, of course, your particular church has qualified relationship counselors, and they offer a full pre-marriage counseling, and so therefore be aware that there is a difference. Sometimes people do both. They do pastoral counseling before they get married, if they're getting married in their own church, and sometimes they then go to a qualified therapist to do the other aspects of counseling, and to do the premarital counseling. So just be aware of that. It's not the same thing. So think about that. And as I said, only ever get a qualified therapist to do it. Now, the point of premarital counselling, the point of exploring these topics before you make that full commitment to a partnership, is to, in fact, build a healthier and stronger relationship. It enables you to talk through topics maybe before they will arise throughout the relationship. Now, in saying that, you can't control for everything. You just can't. Life has its ups and downs, and it will throw at you different things. So you can't control for everything. But what you can do is basically have a plan of action, or understand how your partner is going to respond, or how they will communicate how they feel about certain topics. So it builds also an awareness of ourself and what our needs, wants, desires, values, and beliefs are. It helps us to build awareness of where we are at, and what we will, what our boundaries are. And it'll also help you understand then where your partner's boundaries are. And with that in mind, it'll also build very strong communication skills between you, because you'll get to understand your partners, how they communicate. And it should also teach you to do effective communication skills. A good counsellor will teach you that, how to use active listening and your I statements, and how to use effective communication with one another. And then the whole thing should be arranged that it builds your relationship stronger and healthier with your partner. It also has the benefit of giving you a neutral space in which to discuss the topics that are raised. It has a neutral third party there who can allow both partners to express themselves and to open up and talk about, the different topics. Now, in saying that too, and these are my final couple of points, it will raise anxiety in people. It may make some people very stressed to do this. You're not used to talking to a counsellor. It's a complete stranger, and they may not want to talk about, the two big ones will be sex and finances. They may not want to talk about those things. But a very good qualified therapist will be able to put you at ease, and will be able to put your partner at ease, and bring these topics up in a secure environment, so that they don't feel they're being attacked. They don't feel that their beliefs are being attacked. And they don't, the therapist can put at ease their anxiety, their stresses, and their fears around any topic, not just sex and finance, and, friends and family and things like that. So I have a list of topics in the blog this week, which you can find at www.deborahbyrne.com. psychologyservices.com. I nearly forgot my own website address there. I'm sorry. So you can have a look at them. There's a whole range of topics there, and I've also listed under each topic. I've listed out a range of questions that you should be exploring with your partner, or even if you're married already, maybe there are topics you haven't discussed before. And as I said, it's never too late to discuss these things. And as I said, the blog is only the tip of the iceberg. A qualified therapist will talk you through all of these. We'll be able to explore them in more depth. So do consider it. Do consider, the importance and how it can benefit you. But don't see it as a negative. It's always a benefit. What can I get from this? Always think about it in that terms. What can I get from this? How can this therapist, help me in building my relationship? and building awareness of myself and what I need and my boundaries. So with that, I'll say good morning, and I will talk to you all again next Saturday. And thank you very much for my usual crew, for tuning in so faithfully every week. And there's a new blog, of course, on Monday, and I'll talk about it next Saturday. And thank you very much again for tuning in. And I'll see you all then.